Yes, yes. Can I record? That's my Jody. Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Starting over at 43 with Nikki. Yes, ma'am. She's growling because she wants me to pick her up. Settle down, miss. Settle down. Okay. Like I said, welcome back to my channel. Starting over at 43 with Nikki. And continuing on, which I hadn't planned to do a second video in regards to self care, but um, as I thought about it more, there were other things that I wanted to discuss about self care, and there's so much more that can be said about, caring for yourself. And yesterday, I didn't mention your emotional health, but it's your physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional health that we're responsible for. That we need to make sure that that's well cared for. And so today, I really want to speak more about couples, and this is a lesson that I've learned. And it's When I start speaking about couples, it becomes very difficult if I can keep the subject matter and the examples that I attach to it more broad and not about and not so personal. It's very easy for me to record myself talking about it, but when I talk about couples, that's difficult and that's hard because it's more personal. So I'm going to try to get through this without being emotional because I do think there are important lessons here, as I said before, to help someone. And so when you're caring for someone, and again, I think I'm just going to gear this towards wives, but it really can apply to any couple, but specifically wives. Um, you're going to need to decide what you want to be if you find yourself caring um, for your husband. And when I say what you want to be, do you want to be a caretaker or do you want to remain his wife? And this was something that I didn't initially realize or know. And this is why I say you need to decide. I'm not talking about in the ways that you would, normally care or for a small length of time where you're going to be caring for your husband and, you know, the recovery is going to be expected. There's no long term anything that's going to be happening. But if it's long time care, excuse me for the squeaking chair, I'm going to get another one. But if it's long time care that you're going to be providing or your husband is going to be in need of, you're going to need to have assistance with that, and you're going to need to humble yourself and ask for help if you know if it's available to you. Now, I recognize that everybody's situation is not the same, and for some, they don't have the luxury of being able to have like home health aides and things like that available. Although there are a lot of services out there, you'd be surprised. Um, Regardless of income, but especially if you don't have the income to pay for yourself, medical insurance covers a lot. But also, for the most part, every wife has friends, sisters, maybe even mom or mother-in-law that are willing to come in and help and give a break to you. And it's necessary that you do that because when all you do, when you're in the constant mode of caring, 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 and you're the sole one who's providing it, you know, um, you just you begin to feel the weight of it. You begin to look differently at it, and you'll constantly start to struggle with it feeling like a burden sometimes. And it's not meant to be a burden in the way it's not meant to be a burden at all. That's not God's will for you as a wife, um, or you just in general. We're meant to be in community. We're meant to be in relationships. That's how we are designed. And part of these relationships are that we are meant to be in are to step in and be fillers and help us carry some of our heavy load and help us walk through life. Right? Sometimes it'll be you, and then other times you'll be carrying it for them. But this community, having a community and relying on them is necessary so that you don't lose sight of. This is just a hard lesson. So you will always need to be able to see your husband's magic. You know, if you are constantly caring for him, you no longer see him the same. I don't think he no longer sees you the same. There's so much that's happening when you're dealing with chronic sick illness, and depending on the level of care that your husband will need or your spouse will need, you need to have someone else come in and fill that gap and provide those services for you. But specifically dealing with your husband, with men, it's very humbling for them to have their wives provide every ounce of care that they may need or assist them with everything that they can no longer do for themselves. It would be better to have someone who is a medical provider or have a brother-in-law, a friend, or just someone other than you providing all of that. If at all possible, you need to safeguard your marriage and safeguard the intimacy between you two. And when you're constantly in provider and patient mode, it steals that over time. Um, it steals the intimacy that's between you two, the connection that you have, your role in your relationship change, and that's not good. It's not what you want to have happen. And so, self care in terms of couples and wives, and husbands as well. Enlist the help of people so that you can always see the magic of your spouse and still have the love that you initially had for them in the beginning. It's important to date in a marriage, but even more so, continue to date while you're dealing with the chronic illness because it's hard. It's hard, it's difficult. Um, there's a lot of highs and lows in dealing with that. And so you need to create moments where you're able to feel somewhat, if only for a day, an hour, or a moment. You need to be able to feel the chemistry that you once felt when you were dating. I cannot tell you how important that was, how important that is, to safeguard that. But we tend to get in the mindset, especially women, that no, I'm going to care for him, I'm going to provide for him, this is my responsibility. Well, it is your responsibility to make sure, that he's cared for and he's taken care of. You are not failing to do so by enlisting help of others because there's something else between you two that's sacred, that you're safeguarding and that you're protecting at all costs. And I didn't know this, how important it was to differentiate the roles and to know that to enlist help didn't mean that I was failing or forsaking my responsibility to him. To him, I am his wife. I was his wife. You are his wife. You are her husband. you know, that, like I said, that intimacy. And I don't even think I'm really necessarily articulating it in the way that I would want to, so that you understand. But you want to safeguard the intimacy that you have with one another, where you still see him, where you still see her as that person who you love and that you married. You don't want to see the patient. You don't want them to see you as their care provider. You don't want, because there's enough shame at having to have somebody care for you like that. But you don't want the added shame and the added hurdle of trying to get over, because you've just provided so much care that it just doesn't feel the same for you guys. Somebody else needs to be able to do that. And there will be people who will offer because they love you. There are services out there that can be provided through private home health care, companies. And so it will take some research. It'll take a little work on the front end, but I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, on the back end, it will save you. Because when you don't create moments like that, if the ultimate happens, you will not be able to remember the last time you held hands, or the last time, you know, you said, I love you. You just been in go, 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 go mode. And also over time, that go mode becomes a safe space for you to hide, both of you to hide, and not have to deal with the sadness that the illness has caused, especially if the ultimate happens. You need to grab every ounce of happiness that you can, even more so when you're dealing with chronic illness. Because, especially for men, they don't feel like men. And you want to do everything that you can to make sure that you still see them the same. And for me, I thought, I felt like, it's my responsibility, and I safeguarded. For me, I felt like I safeguarded, or I should say, it was very important to me that I safeguarded my husband's maleness. But that was from my perspective, and how men think and how women think and how we see things are very different, very different. Me, whatever he needed, whatever he needed, you know, I was going to make sure that he had. And I did it in a way that I thought, he was not going to feel any less than. I did it in a way that I thought, like, he would not feel like it was a burden. You know, I wanted him to see that for me, I felt like I was, for, I wanted him to see that as far as I was concerned, this was nothing. I'll take it on the chin all day for him, because I'm his wife, I'm his wife. And it's not that he didn't love me for that, because he so did. And it's not that he didn't admire me for that, because he so did. But I know he probably didn't, because I know he didn't think about somebody started coming in, having someone come in and take over some of those duties, because my husband was very, very private, and, Most men are, but my husband really was private. But I think if I would have been able to recognize so much sooner the importance of separating my me as his wife and safeguarding that and having people come in and help with the caretaking part so I can remain his wife and still see him. I think if I would have been able to recognize that sooner and articulate that to him, because when I talked to him and I would explain things to him, then he would get it and he would understand. So I offer this to you guys, anyone watching, having to deal with chronic care, even if it's not in a spouse, maybe it's in one of your children, you know, um, enlist the help from friends and family, research services that are available to help relieve you of some of the responsibilities of caring for them, whether it be a child or a spouse, so that you can still show up as the mother and father that you would want to, and just be able to have lighter times with your baby, your child, or you can still show up in the ways that you want to for your husband or wife and able to have a lot more joyful moments. Joyful moments, I think that's the word, just a lot more joyful moments because it matters. It matters. It will bring more joy to your life on a regular basis. You're on a regular basis in the midst of dealing with whatever difficult medical difficulty it is. But like I said, in the event the ultimate happens, you will, of the many reasons you'll grieve more for not for not stopping a moment and allowing people to help you, so that you could be able to just enjoy time with them. And I don't know if I would have been able to get this much clarity about it if he had not passed. And so this is one of these hard lessons that I've had to learn and that I really want to pass on to someone else. So again, if in the event they find themselves having to deal with, long term illness or chronic care, maybe they will see this and think of this, and maybe be able to make some different decisions and do some different things and get get the help that they need, because the ultimate responsibility will always be yours. So you don't have to worry about that and feel any kind of way about that. But just enlist the help that you need so that you can enjoy, you know, whomever it is that you love that you're caring for. So I really didn't want to have to be on here crying and do this, but it was important that I got this out for someone else. Take care of yourself. As always, I love you. I have TV going in the background. I didn't even realize that. It's just crazy, hot mess. But take care of yourself. See you next time. Love you guys. God bless.